Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of Rick from Rick and Morty, the action figure of course. I picked this up from Rangers Games for 12 quid. It was supposed to be 13 but they said it was 12, so that's cool. First thing I want to go through are the accessories. Now it's a collect and build sort of wave of sorts, so if you get Rick, if you get Morty, Rick, Mr. Meeseeks, Mr. Poopy Butthole, and Bird Person, then you get parts to build a snowball in the mech suit, and that. So I've got both the arms, the left and right arm. I presume the other two other ones come with the feet and all the legs even, and then the other one would be the main body piece, I presume, anyway. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's fairly detailed, sort of mech sort of thing. I mean, originally I was planning on only just getting Rick and Morty, but now, I don't know, I might, if I have any money sort of lying around, he says, or if I have any money and they're fairly easy to get, then maybe, but the thing is, they're quite challenging to get because they're not in the most sort of convenient places, I guess. As well as having this figure though, Rangers Games in town where I live, and that they have of where I live, they also had Mr. Poopy Butthole and Bird Person, so it's mainly Mr. Meeseeks that's quite challenging to find, clearly. Also, accessory-wise, you get the obviously infamous portal gun, which is nicely detailed, I guess. I mean, you've got the three little sort of things that can project the portal gun, the portal sort of fluid thing there, sort of handle and or button. So his hands are sculpted, so he can obviously have the portal gun in his hand, but he also comes with the infamous, also, well, less infamous even, little flask, so you can have him drinking from that. In contrast to the Morty figure, I think this is probably the better one in terms of the fact that it just looks like it has more sort of colours, I guess. Although, saying that, I guess having these figures does highlight that the characters, in terms of their colour palette, are rather limited, I guess. He is predominantly sort of grey, sort of in terms of skin tone and or colour there, but then you've got, you know, the sort of contrast there with the white lab coat and then the blue t-shirt and or blue hair and or sculpting of the unibrow and that, and then you've also got the detail of the sort of green sort of vomit-esque thing emanating from his mouth of sorts. I want to say that's sort of like liquor of sorts that's still always on his chin. And then the hairpiece on the back is just really phenomenally sort of done of sorts, with all the little different spiky bits and that, and then they've even done a bit where they've got like a bit of the head lacking a blue bit there, spike of sorts, indicating that he's got a bit of a bald patch on the back of his head, which is a bit funny. Then you've got a belt and just some brown sort of pants and some boring grey feet as well. In terms of articulation, it's fairly standard, sort of out at the arms, in at the elbows, and sort of full 360 hands, and then full 360 head. And also, I think it's on a ball joint as well, so you can make him look down a bit, sort of. My only criticism with the articulation would be the fact that as soon as I got the figure, I made this knee bend, and now it kind of looks as though I've kind of maybe damaged it a bit, which is a bit annoying. I bent it this way, even. Let me just see if I can do the sort of bend that I had. Well, I can't seem to bend is like the way that I want it to bend, but currently. But yeah, it kind of made a popping noise, is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, I may have damaged the leg somewhat. The articulation is okay. I mean, it's a better sort of figure in contrast to the Morty one that I reviewed prior to this one. I think it looks better in terms of its detail. I think there's more to sort of have in terms of detail, in terms of what they can do with this figure, though, I guess. Let's see. Nope, that didn't work. You know, he's got more sort of layers in terms of the colour palette, I guess. You know, Morty was just simply sort of a yellow t-shirt and that's about it, really, sort of thing. And it is a good figure. I mean, obviously, if you're any bit a Rick and Morty fan, then this is a must-have for you. And, you know, they are decent figures. I just think they're a little bit overpriced for what they are. I think if, obviously, you're a massive fan of Rick and Morty, then obviously they're worth picking up regardless of the price. I think, you know, in terms of comparing it to, say, some of the Doctor Who figures, they're not as good, but then compared to some of the other Doctor Who figures, they're better, I guess. It just depends. I mean, to be fair, you're basing these figures based off animated characters who have limited, sort of, as I just said earlier in the review, colour palettes in terms of what they wear, whereas the action figures, the Doctor Who ones, are based off actors and or people who are wearing, like, costumes and therefore have lots of different layers and detailed costumes and that you can get into, whereas with these, less so. And also, I feel like the reason as to why they're more expensive maybe potentially than normal sort of traditional sort of action figures and toys is because of the fact that they're predominantly aimed at sort of teens and adults, and that these action figures, as that's the sort of target demographic that Rick and Morty is for predominantly, therefore they can ask for more money. Also, they're more sort of novelty, I guess. Like, there's not a lot of these figures out there. There's only, as I say, Rick, Morty, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Bird Person, and Mr. Meeseeks, and that. And so I think if, obviously, these ones sell well, then they might make more, but these might be the only ones they ever make, so maybe that's another reason as to why they've said that or put the price up fairly high, because they might not make any more after this, or if they do sell well and they make more in the future, maybe they might lower the price, I don't know. But yeah, it's a good figure, and I think I'd give it a well-earned sort of 6 out of 10. I think it's better than the Morty figure. I think the Morty figure does sort of accompany this figure, and or this figure accompanies the Morty one, so obviously if you have one and not the other, then, you know, you kind of somewhat obligated to get the other. And accessory wise is an improvement. Obviously he gets 2 accessories over only having one, but granted, I can't think of any other sort of accessory the Morty figure could have had. So I mean, yeah, it's a well-earned 6 out of 10 from me. So that's been my Rick and Morty action figure review. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate and subscribe.